Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Game Week 27. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout's Deputy Editor Tom Freeman to reveal our latest teams ahead of Game Week 27. Tom, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks, Joe. Yeah, had a pretty poor game week. Didn't own Foden and didn't own Bowen either. But we've got the FA Cup obviously coming up this week, fifth round.
Yeah.
So kind of looking forward to the next stage now in
Yeah.
terms of planning and chip strategy. So yeah, all good. Yeah, looking forward to having a chat through things now
Yeah.
and seeing where we're at.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got 55, which was a small red arrow. So I'm down to 57k, I think it is now.
Still good.
And so I feel okay with my team at the moment, but it's not, I haven't got Bowen, so I haven't got a hat trick going in there. But yes, I did have some of the main protagonists there, like Foden and Saka in place, and Captain Haaland that time out. My team, when I'll show it as well, I will make I will explain what happened in Game Week 25 for me. I think I said on FPL General's podcast, video rather. I got Allison in just before it was revealed he was injured. So I do like to leave my transfers late. So I thought 4 o'clock on Friday was okay, especially because I was busy in the evening. I was busy on Saturday during the day. So I thought, well, I often do make a transfer then. All matches are done. And then literally at 5 o'clock, Allison is injured, hamstring, out for weeks. Kelleher's, going to replace him. So I ummed and ahed about it. And then I just took a hit. I just took a hit on Friday night, 10 o'clock. I just thought, I'm gonna spend 4 points to forget about it and just play Kelleher. I
Okay.
really wanted...
Yeah.
I really
Okay.
wanted to get a Liverpool goalkeeper in because I'm sick of the Dubravka Areola
Yeah,
partnership.
I
It's just
understand
not
that.
working.
Yeah.
I wanted to break from
Mm.
that, and it was a double game week. And I thought, well, got a chance. He actually got me 5 points, I think. So it wasn't great, but I've got Kelleher. I've got him for a few more weeks while Alisson's injured. So
Yeah, it sounds like you might get a bit more game time
yeah,
out of him as well.
yeah.
So, what is he, 3.7? He's very
Yeah,
cheap, isn't
and I
he?
saved the money as well.
Mm.
So I really wanted him, but obviously I'm 4 points down on those that just simply did that move. So I did the Bravka out to him. So that was what I did. That. And then last week I did Solanke. I got Solanke in for Darwin. So sort of mix
Yeah,
and matching
okay.
with my Liverpool. Okay, let's have a
Yeah.
look at the fixtures. Because this is going to influence what we're going to be doing. Of note, Bournemouth, Luton have a double game week, 28. They are also have great fixtures around that. Bournemouth have Burnley, Sheffield United, Luton, obviously. And then they have Wolves, Everton, Crystal Palace, Luton again. Luton have Villa, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth in their double. Crystal Palace, Bournemouth in their double. Then Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Arsenal, that's tough. And then Bournemouth, game week 32. Newcastle have good fixtures, but poor form. Fulham are riding high there. And we were talking in the Goals Imminent video about Willian. If he's fit, could be a good differential during that period. Tottenham, Crystal Palace, and Villa, and they play in 29, so that's quite good. So for the likes of Son or Richarlison in Fulham away there in 29, and then Luton, West Ham, and Nottingham Forest. These are really good fixtures to come out of that blank game week for. And meanwhile, poor fixtures, Brighton's fixtures really turn nasty in 29, where they either have a blank or they play Man City. So devil on both shoulders there. Liverpool in game week 30 for them as well. Man City, poor fixtures, but it's Man City. Sheffield United, poor form and fixtures. Manchester United, mixed bag of fixtures. They do have Sheffield United at home, but they also have City away, and they've got Chelsea away, Liverpool away, and Brentford away in amongst that. We're going to know much more after Wednesday, aren't we? And what we're going to be looking at. And so that, just to remind people, the main things we're looking at, game week 29, we've got some fixtures definitely on: Tottenham, Fulham, West Ham, Villa, and there was another one that was not as eye-catching.
Burnley, Brentford, we've
Burnley,
got.
Brentford, that was it.
Mm,
So
yeah.
Tony's pretty much of interest there. There could be one of Luton and Manchester United, but highly likely it'll be one of those two will go in there. But you might get Arsenal, Chelsea because Chelsea play Leeds. We might get Liverpool because they play Southampton, but they will be much changed side because of fixture congestion there. And Southampton, had a bit of a dip, but are still riding high in the Championship. So that's probably what we're looking at, really. So what are your immediate thoughts? I suppose, by the way, let's pretend it's Thursday morning. What sort of scenarios are you looking at, and how do you think you're going to react to them?
Well, I think the first thing to look at on this is let's look at the couple of game weeks ahead of us, which we do know about, and that's Bournemouth, and it's those fixtures against the 3 newly promoted teams in a row.
Wow.
Burnley, Sheffield United, Luton. So I think getting Solanke into your team, ideally this week, but if not next week, I think that's the priority for people.
Yeah,
and then I think you decide how much you invest in those double game week teams, one depending on your chip strategy. If you're free hitting in 29, then you can get those, you can maybe get 1 or 2 more players from those clubs in. If Bournemouth or Luton end up having a fixture in game week 29, I think the Luton fixture is the favourite to be on in 29 out of the ones which are currently in jeopardy. Their fixture against Forest, because all we need for that to happen, I think I'm right in saying, is that we need Man United to beat Forest in the FA Cup. If they do, that 29 fixture. So I've currently got Ross Barkley. I think you've got Alfie Doughty, haven't you, Joe? We might be more inclined to maybe add one more Luton player into it if we know they're playing in 29 and we're not going to free hit.
Yeah,
but there's so much up in the air right now.
I mean, I think with Luton as well, that'll if it's just those 3 fixtures we know plus Luton, Nottingham Forest, then I would be minded to free hit. Not only because I just don't have the bodies in there, but I'd be quite happy to add Barkley, whichever Luton striker, perhaps Morris, Adebayo, whoever is fit up front. But these are not players I want all the time. So I'd be really happy with that. And but the same token with Nottingham Forest, I'd really quite like Elanga, I think. But I don't want Elanga game week 30 against Tottenham or against Arsenal in game week 31. But against Luton, I would on a free hit. So I sort of hope there aren't any upsets so I could do that. And for the same token, I don't want lots of West Ham players. But for 1 week, I might.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the 3 teams that have got fixtures in 29, the good ones are Tottenham, Villa and West Ham.
Yeah.
But like you say, whether or not you want players from, especially West Ham, knowing that they play, kind of Newcastle and Tottenham after that. Well, Newcastle isn't a bad fixture, is it? But whether or not you want to be kind of fully loaded on these teams, there's a lot to be decided. Which, all it would take is a Leeds win in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we've got our triple Arsenals ready to play in 29.
Yeah.
We've got probably Cole Palmer or some people have got a cheap Chelsea defender. And that very much changes everything we're thinking about with a game week 29 free hit. So let's just see how it plays out over the next couple of nights.
Yeah, definitely. So if Arsenal-Chelsea's on, so I've already got Palmer, I've got Gabriel, I've got Saka. I've still got... that means I can get another Arsenal player in. So I might decide to get Saliba, for example, against Sheffield United away. Brentford at home, Chelsea, that Chelsea game, I might decide to go for Odegaard. So, suddenly these that's going to affect our next moves, really. So that will be really important. And the Liverpool game, I've got 2 Liverpool in Kelleher and Van Dijk. If Liverpool game is on and Klopp says on Friday in his press conference, Salah's absolutely fit, despite I don't know if you saw the League Cup final when Darwin Núñez pole vaulted him, shoved him out the way, and then went over various. So Darwin's fit because I've just seen him hurdle several barriers. But if Salah's still alive after Darwin did that to him, then he would be an absolute top priority, I think.
I think I agree.
For that, with playing in game week 29. Lots to decide. I think hopefully we're helping people sort of get their minds together about what could happen. There's cup games tonight, cup games on Wednesday. We'll know much more by the end of Wednesday night. Okay, let's have a look at your team then. Do you want to run through your bus team with all those things we've just discussed in mind, your decisions, who you're captaining and all of that?
Yeah, so I'm currently set up in a 3-4-3. I've got Areola in goal. I've got a defence of Van Dijk, Ben White and Gabriel. So double Arsenal defence
Great.
for that trip to Sheffield
Hmm.
United. Then got the four midfielders, Saka, Palmer, De Bruyne and Hwang. And then I've got three strikers, Alvarez, Haaland captain and Watkins with
Yeah.
Dubravka, Barkley, Taylor and Estupiñán on the
Okay.
bench. Got one free transfer
Okay.
and I've got 3.5 million in the bank. Now, the idea behind the move, I think I spoke on the goals imminent video. It was a shootout between Hwang and Bowen for coming in.
Yeah.
I went for the option. He scored 3 points rather than
Yeah.
20. And but part of that was because he was a bit cheaper and it gave me a bit more flexibility for this week because with 3.5 in the bank, I could, for example, go from De Bruyne to Salah in one move if he was fit.
Hmm.
Which would obviously be even more appealing if they had however unlikely, a fixture in game week 29. So at the moment, that is an option for this week. If we were to kind of suspect that De Bruyne was going to have his minutes managed again, which could
Yep.
well happen, but it is a big game. So if he is ready, you would expect him to feature in that. But let's see how it is. So that is an option. So going from either, if we were worried about De Bruyne, he could become Salah, he could become Son, for
Yeah.
example. If I think De Bruyne is going to play, then it's probably Alvarez to Solanke,
Okay.
and we'll go
Yeah.
get that in place. Which I
Okay.
want to I want to make that move anyway. It's
Mm.
just whether I make it this week or next
Okay.
week. But that's probably the most likely move.
Yeah.
One of those two. Either one of the City boys will probably come back out because I think if De Bruyne is going to start, then you're a bit less,
Mm.
Alvarez looks a bit less likely to
Yeah.
feature in that one. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm pretty set on Haaland captain. I think having watched United a
Yeah.
fair bit recently, I don't think they look very good defensively.
No.
Against Villa, they were very, very open, and against Luton, they were open. So I see United, City, going there and scoring a few goals. Saka's the only other option I think I'd consider from that team, but I think I prefer the home player.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got a lot of good options. Watkins away to Luton, Saka away to Sheffield United, um, uh, Hwang away to Newcastle. I mean, these are all potential captaincies, I would say. But yeah, Haaland, I think, would have the edge for me. I seem to remember last year he was playing at home to Manchester United. I remember I captained him, and not a lot of people did.
Yeah.
There was lots of good options that week. Salah maybe, and they went that way. But I was mainly because of Haaland's comments about his family connections with City,
Yeah.
and he doesn't like Manchester United too much.
Yeah.
So I went on that, and he did pretty well, I
Yeah.
think, out of that game.
He did very well. Was it 3 goals, 2 assists, or something
Something
like
like
that? It's
that. I mean, it was
crazy.
huge,
Yeah.
but so yeah, I hope for the same again. So yeah, I mean, I'm keen on that, and I'm sort of with you as well with that. That De Bruyne news, because you can go to Salah, and if Salah's playing in 29, that would be very tempting. You can also move to Son as well.
Yeah, I mean that was because part of the thinking was with the Wang move was that let's get that money in the bank
Yeah,
and maybe that'll help this week when the FA Cup results are
yeah,
done and dusted and we'll know a little bit more then. So that move isn't looking too clever right now, but let's see the impact on other moves it
yeah,
has. I like playing Hwang this week. I haven't considered playing Barkley at home against Villa over Hwang because I think Hwang going to that
yeah.
Newcastle defence in the way that it's playing at the moment. I think that's a decent fixture for him. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, looking a bit further ahead, I think you mentioned then you just had two guaranteed players for
Yeah, that's
29,
it.
didn't you,
And
Joe?
and
I
they
think
both
I've
face each
got
other.
yeah. You see, I've got the same two. I've got Charlie Taylor as well. Um, and I might
Disappointing.
have Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. And I might have Barkley as well. If that
Okay.
get look, you'll have Doughty.
I've
So I'm
doubted.
probably only on 4.
Yeah.
So I could get up to 7 or I could get up to 8 with a -4 if all of my transfers are
Yeah.
focused on that. But obviously, if Bournemouth aren't playing in 29, I've got to prioritise getting in
Yeah.
Solanke
Yeah.
with one
Yeah.
of those
Definitely.
transfers. So it probably is kind of moving to me towards a free hit in 29. Then I think I could leave the wild card a touch longer
Yeah.
before playing it with maybe a bench boost in
Yeah.
mind around 34 or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean that's a very similar thought to me. What I don't want to be doing is removing really good players for rubbish players in 29 just because they're playing, and then still having that team in Game Week 30. I do like the idea of
yeah.
taking risks with some of these players, from
Mm.
West Ham, for example, and even if Luton and Nottingham Forest is on, even if Manchester United is on, that's still a risk with their players.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll be happy with that. Yeah, okay, yeah, looks a good team though. Going in for the game week. Here's mine. So yeah, I've got a 3-4-3 as well. Slightly different personnel. So I've got Kelleher. I've got rid of Dubravka finally. I've got Kelleher against. I actually think he's going to concede, but I prefer him to Areola. I've also got Van
Mm.
Dijk, so I'm going for. I really hope there's a clean sheet there. I don't think I'm going to get that though. I've got Gabriel against Sheffield United. I've got Alfie Doughty at home to Aston Villa, so I'm hoping for an assist or two from him. Across my midfield, I've got Kevin De Bruyne, Foden, Saka, who's my vice captain, and Palmer. And then up front, I've got, which I think will be the norm front line amongst a lot of
Yeah.
engaged managers, is Watkins, Solanke, Haaland. It certainly seems to be what you're moving to. On my
Yeah.
bench, I've got Areola. Garnacho is my first sub. He plays City. Anderson, he's actually ahead of Estupinan because even though Anderson plays for Crystal Palace and is away to Tottenham, at least he plays. And whereas Estupinan is 1 point tops, and if he gets booked, there's zero. So Anderson's gets the edge for me there. Yeah, Haaland captain. I have toyed with Solanke away to Burnley, Watkins away to Luton, and of course Saka away to Sheffield United. But yeah, I'm going to stick on Haaland. It's sort of the move I made this time last season. I just think Manchester United. I think it's a big game there. And speaking of big game, Kevin De Bruyne, big game Kev. That's it. But if he is, if there's any doubt about him not playing, I'm just not going to risk it. I'll just think, right, remove him. He's going to be a doubt a lot. I'll get Salah in if Salah appears in the from the bench in the cup game, and Klopp is very, very keen, very, very favourable about his chances of starting against Nottingham Forest. I just think Salah is a player that, if fit, not many people like you. I've got 2.8 million in the bank, so I can just about get Salah even with a price change or two. And I don't think other people will be in that same position if they haven't got the money in the bank to get De Bruyne. And they might not even have De Bruyne, so they can't even get there anyway.
Yeah.
But if that is not the case, I might get Son in for De Bruyne because he's a player I'm going to want anyway, irrespective of 29. Or I'll just keep De Bruyne and then just hold. And I hope I can do that, so I can go into 28 with two transfers. And that depends. If I'm free hitting in 29, I'll just use those two free transfers. I'll maybe get another Luton, maybe get another Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Take it from there. Maybe from neither of those teams, and maybe get I don't know, another player. Maybe look at more bodies that are playing in 29. So there's a lot in the air and up in the air. And I know a lot of people look at this and go, well, what's the point of this? But the point is we're all in the same boat, and we're all going to have to make decisions on Thursday and Friday about our teams, what we're going to be doing, or indeed Saturday morning. And we're going to need to prepare for those things, really. And so you've got clear plans, for whatever permutation. So have I. But I think for you and I, a lot of our plans about how much we think Kevin De Bruyne is going to play or not.
Yeah, it feels like an important press conference, doesn't it? But yeah, I think the good thing is that we've both got money in the bank and we've got options. Son's a very good drop down if you want to go down to
Yeah.
him. I think Salah would be excellent if he was ready to go, because I think I think he could be a differential this week in the
Yeah.
fact that he's not easy to get to for a lot
No.
of people. So I really like that. I think Palmer away at Brentford in this setup, given how poorly Brentford have been defending
Yeah.
recently, I think that's a good fixture.
Mm.
I like Doughty this week up again. We spoke about it on Goals Imminent, but
Yeah.
why we like him against Villa's right side at the week, they'll concede, I think, but they could get an assist. So yeah, I think that the team is good. If you were so next week, Joe, if you're going to invest, add another Bournemouth player, would you go for a defender or a midfielder? Do you think, or Semenyo?
Well, I think I think if Senesi can avoid he's on 8 yellows.
Yes, the yellow card.
If he gets one more, then he's at risk of missing one of the double game week. If he escapes game week 27 without a yellow, then he will and worst case scenario, he gets a yellow in first game in 28, yellow in the second game in 28, then he's absent for 29, 30, which is fine. I can just bench him then. So I think I would go for him. There's if Lloyd Kelly's out, I might go for the other guy that's replacing him, who's I keep saying I keep forgetting his name, but I might go for him. But it's while I like the differential nature of Tavernier, Cliver, and more, but there's so many of them, and I don't know who's going to play twice. If I went for another Luton, it'd be Barkley, but I'm not sure. It'll be Barkley. I'll get Garnacho to Barkley or something like that. But I'm not having double. I'm not having double defence, and also I don't want to be removing Solanke or Watkins or Haaland, so that counts me out of one of their strikers.
Yes, and a lot will. What happens with 29? If United have that fixture in 29 and you're not going to free hit, suddenly Garnacho's an easy hold, isn't he?
Yeah.
But then if Man United, Blank, and Luton do have the fixture in 29, which could well happen, that Barkley move from Garnacho might make more sense.
So I mean, I did talk a couple of weeks ago of getting Barkley into and sort of hedging my bets. So basically, at the moment, I'm going to go into 29 with Watkins, Areola, and one of Garnacho and Doughty, I think. And it'll be one of those. And so, but that's only 3 players. And they're not, well, I mean, Watkins is good, but that's about it in terms of the good players. There's no Tony there. There's no Bowen. There's no Spurs players. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with the cup, but I really hope that there aren't any cup sets and I can just go into it with a free hit. Just make my life easier, less complicated.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining me, Tom. Just a reminder to everyone, do press that like button, do remember to subscribe, do check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for membership offers as well to help you climb up your mini leagues, all the tools and gadgets there. Good luck everyone watching and listening in your game week. Good luck with your decisions after the cup games, how that's going to influence your chip strategies and transfers, and hopefully mine and Tom's thoughts have given you some thoughts as well, because I suspect there'll be a lot of similar players in your teams as well as ours. But good luck with your game week. Till next time, see you later, Tom.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.